Yo, what's up everyone? Kaizouwar here. So, in about a couple of months or so, it will now be 6 years since BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle has been out. The game came out back in 2018, and I really want to talk about it now. I don't spend enough time away from the game to make some kind of big revisiting kind of video, but this is probably the only opportunity I got to make such a thing because, again, I boot up this game regularly, so I haven't spent a lot of time away from it. So I have a lot of things to say. And I wanted to make a kind of a small-ish video, or at least small by it stands on my channel, to talk about BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle in a certain video. So I wanted to just talk about this game and express my feelings on the game, because I know a lot of people have very heated discussions about BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. It's died down significantly over time, but people are in the camps of you either like this game or you don't. There's hardly ever, and I mean ever, an in-between. For real. I'm gonna be real. There's no in-between with this. And I can totally understand why. A lot of people hate this game. And I can totally understand. There's no, I'm not gonna look, people and tell them they're stupid for hating this game, or you're dumb, or you're irrelevant, or some shit like that. No. Could totally understand why you like this game. If it don't vibe with you, that's fair. If you don't like how the characters play in this version of this game, that's perfectly fine. I am not that kind of person who's going to devalue someone for not liking this game. I personally like it, now that 2.0 is a thing, but I can definitely see what people are coming from in regards to some types of gameplay. But even though I don't personally share those sentiments, I see why. Now, me personally, I like the gameplay of BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. I will pick up any fighting game. I honestly don't care. I will literally play anything because I like to try to experiment with different fighting games to see how they play, if I vibe with them or not. And honestly, there's very little, there's not even that, there's a small pool of fighting games I don't really vibe with. And that's because I'm just not good at it, and I think I kind of get frustrated for not being good. Again, I'm one of the few people who like playing Cross Tag Battle. I don't really care about the simplistic controls. I honestly don't care. You do need to know what the hell you're doing to play this game. You need to know what the hell you're doing to pull off pretty decent combos. And yes, there are some degenerate characters in the game, like Adachi and Yumi, but that's a very small percentage of the 53 character roster. I really think and of course there's other characters that kind of break the game too, but there's so many characters in this game and so many team matchups and stuff like that that you're of course you're gonna have to go out of your way to find somebody that's broken, unless you just find it through testing. But for real though, I generally like the gameplay Cross Tag Battle, Again, a lot of people don't like the simplistic controls, or some people don't like the tag mechanics, but that's really not me. Another thing I like about BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle are the character intros. I love seeing all these characters from different universes, coming together, teaming up to show off what they got from different universes. Personally, a BlazBlue crossover game was something I never expected that ever happened, right? At all. A BlazBlue Cross Tag game that ever happened between characters from BlazBlue, Persona 4, Under Night and Birth, Ruby, and we will later get on characters from Arcana Heart, Akatsuki Blitzkampf, and the Senran Kagura. None of these games I would ever see next to each other. The only ones I would probably ever see in the same vicinity would be BlazBlue and Under Night, and that's just because that Arc System Works did help French Bread a couple times. Hell, Hyde exists solely because the creator of BlazBlue suggested it. So, there's some overlap, at least between these two games, despite the fact that they're from different companies, right? But, now that they've all melded together, now we got a melting pot of these characters from different universes and stuff like that, they actually do fit pretty well. Of course, they all have different power systems, and they all speak differently between every universe, but that's not the point. The point is, I like what they've done to character interactions, but they all feel natural, and they also play on, references and stuff from their world, and they all have very excellent English dub voices. I love the fact that this game got dubbed, because one thing that keeps Central Fiction from being one of my favorite fighting games is the lack of a dub, and I know that is a very petty thing to say about a fighting game not having an English dub, but BlazBlue has always, and I mean always, had an amazing English dub cast, right? You get one game without it, which is the final full fighting game we've gotten outside of Cross Tag Battle, and you're gonna lose some points with me personally. That's why I can't rank Central Fiction to the peak of peak. If it just had a dub, I would. But that's what keeps Cross Tag Battle really high for me. That's not the only thing, but that's one factor of keeping this game really high for me, is that they brought back a lot of English voice actors and gave really good ones to new characters, like the Under Night characters, which they all fit pretty well. We got the Ruby dub cast back, which I guess I can't really call it the Ruby dub cast because Ruby's originally English, but They got them all here. They could have replaced them, but they got them all here. Like, and they got like new dub voices for people like Hart, who has like Kira Buckland, does an amazing job, or Yumi from Senran Kagura, who's never had an English dub voice actor outside of like the dub for one of the Senran Kagura animes, or Akatsuki, you know, from Akatsuki Blitzkampf, who never ever will get an English dub voice ever again, has never had one, and he actually fits pretty well as Kaiji Tang. Like, it's insane. Like, I like that. I really do. Like, I hold English dubs very high. I really do. When they're good, they're good. And this is one of them. And I really feel bad I just really feel bad that nobody talks about that. I think like BlazBlue has always had one of the best English dubs. And Cross Tag Battle still carries that over because it not only gets all the BlazBlue dub actors back, but we also get new ones for like characters like S or characters like Susanoo, who sound amazing. Like Billy Kametz, rest his soul, was Naoto Kurogane. He did a very amazing job. And on top of that, we get the English dub voice actors returning from Persona 4. You know, it's just all the new Under Night ones fit, again, really well. So, again, English dubbing is a great thing, and I'm glad that this game had it. Because honestly, if it didn't, I probably would have it lower. Because these English dubs do, like, the directors behind the English dub are, like, they do an amazing ass job with portraying these characters. They really do a great job. And seeing these interactions between characters in different worlds, like Ruby fangirling over Ragna's sword, like, that's funny. Like, they do it really well. Or like Platinum being a little shit to everyone. Despite my feelings towards Platinum, she's funny when she does that shit. And like, it's not even the same voice actor that she had previously. Like, she previously had Laura Bailey, but since Laura Bailey's too big now, we gotta get Alexis Tipton, who's essentially Laura Bailey's stand-in, sorta. And she still sounds really good as Platinum. She still sounds like she's channeling the inner energy of a piece of shit child. And it's funny, right? Like, again, Billy Kametz, God rest his soul, does an amazing job as Naoto Kurogane. He does an amazing job portraying his character and his exasperated dealings of the world around him. And I think that's amazing. Like, just all these characters work off each other really well. Like, I think like they've chosen the best like dub actors they could ever find for these characters who already didn't have them, right? And I love it. I really do love it. And it makes the characters feel more alive than they ever have before. And I think that's a good thing for people to care about your characters. So yeah, another thing I like about the game is the 2.0 story mode. Now, I liked episode 1 of BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. I did, but it wasn't what I would expect from a crossover story mode. The original story mode, which I need to make a video on someday because I've already recorded it for my channel, so it'd probably be a good way to make a topic about it. But the story mode for BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, like on its initial launch story mode, is decent, but it doesn't do enough to take advantage of the fact that it's a crossover, right? And yeah, it has its moments, but it's just not enough. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the best moments in this game, like in like all of episode 1, is the ending of the Persona 4 Arena's story mode, where like, you know, Ragna, Hyde, and like a bunch of other characters from all the universes are coming to Yasogami High, which could have been its own gag reel, which I was really hoping for before launch, but you know, whatever. But I mean, that's the best thing, because that could have been its own thing. That could have been its own little gag reel, and I would have been happy about it, but you know, it isn't. But it's still a funny moment nonetheless. But episode 1's all right. It's not like what I wanted. It's not like the peak of what this crossover could be. And I think the other problem of the story mode is that the fact that when all the other characters came out as DLC, they weren't integrated into the story mode somehow, which they couldn't have. There's no way this could have been possible. So you just have the base roster of 20 characters, and it's just not enough. Despite the fact you have a smaller roster to handle, you're just not doing enough with these guys, right? And that bums me out. So then we get episode 2 of BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle story mode, the 2.0 story mode, and I think it's super good. This is what I was talking about, where I want to see all these characters just goof around, act stupid, get into silly hijinks and scenarios. All these characters from different worlds just doing stupid shit, having fun, getting into crazy shenanigans. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I feel like every crossover fighting game should do. Like, just stupid shit. You know, not every fighting game, like crossover fight game, needs a serious ass story mode. Sometimes you need to just do stupid shit and have a cool climax at the end. I think that's what, like, this is probably the best example of doing a good story mode for like this kind of format for a game. Now, granted, of course, there could have been better ways to suit it, like in a presentation. Like, for example, like the way the characters look in the story mode where they're just their portraits. I still not a fan of it, I'm used to it now because I play a lot of visual novels, but they could have made unique portraits for all these characters, even though it would have been a lot. But I get why they didn't make it, but still would have made the story mode feel a lot more alive than it does now, with just the characters just kind of stuck in their poses for the fighting, like for the characters like screen, and that's it. That's just not, no. But as I said before, I like the 2.0 story mode, and I'm glad it's here because I would have been bummed out if they didn't add more story content for all these DLC characters. They didn't have to do that. Like, they really didn't have to. They could have just released the 2.0 story mode and just call it Square. But no, they went back, made a different story mode with all these characters, redubbed everything. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, another good thing towards BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. One final good thing, and I think I already talked about this already, was the rollback. Now, because of rollback netcode, everyone can play BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle on PS4 and Steam. Now, it sucks it doesn't have crossplay, but I feel like, you know, the good thing it has rollback netcode to even begin with. I think that's good, you know. Again, anyone ever wants to pick this game up in the future and replay the game again, you don't have to worry about the crazy, you know, some crazy sad online experience. You can actually play the game smoothly with no issues, which is good. Like, they didn't have to go back and add rollback. They could just let the game die like it is, or some shit like that. But they did, and I think that's cool. But yeah, I really do like BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. But I will be the first person to admit, and a lot of other people would, but for me personally, I will be the first one to admit that even though I like this game now, it wasn't always this way. It only started really getting good when BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle 1.5 came out. That's the DLC. That's the DLC where like Naoto, Heart, Seth, and Teddy. That's when they first came out for the game as DLC characters, and that's when the game really got good. But before that, it was a struggle trying to get out of the trenches. Now, again, I don't want to go into a massive history lesson about the goddamn the way that we've gotten here, with all the PR and the bad DLC decisions and the miscommunication. I don't want to do any of that shit no more. I don't want to talk about that shit anymore because I've done so many different videos about it. I made a retrospective video about it, which people really need to watch. I liked making that video. I like making that video, so I really wish people would watch that video. But anyway, the point is, I've already talked about the bad lead up to launch and the launch itself. Again, that's a huge knock towards the game because a lot of people just turned off. Like, that game made headlines. The fact that a BlazBlue game, a crossover BlazBlue game, has made headlines because of bad DLC decisions and bad PR and all this shit is a bad thing. And that's still a sticking point towards Cross Tag Battle, despite the fact that 2.0 is out. People still talk about that when you bring up Cross Tag Battle, which I find funny, but also sad, because this game could have been handled so much better, and it wasn't. It really wasn't. It got better later, but it still took a year to get there. It still took a year to actually become the good game that it is now, in my personal opinion. But sadly, that kind of shit did turn people off, and no one even wanted to buy the game at that point. And the launch itself still wasn't even that good. First of all, you got your 20 characters, right? Again, the game was released at a reduced price of $50. So when you bought the DLC at $20, the full game would be $70. And with the full game being $70, you get 40 characters. But they shot themselves in the foot by announcing, A, they're gonna have 20 DLC characters. B, I don't think reducing the price of the game is still gonna make people happy, like, at all. That's still, like, you know, like, the game did sell pretty well from my understanding. I don't know. I don't check like sales of stuff about BlazBlue games, but I feel like it's kind of irrelevant unless someone, like, irrelevant to me unless someone brings it up and I'm like, oh shoot, that's cool. Like, the only thing I know about BlazBlue selling well at all was BlazBlue Entropy Effect, and I don't think that even counts. That is a roguelike game that's not even being made by Arc System Works, so I don't even count that as. I mean, I count it as a W because it's still BlazBlue and it's still like BlazBlue game selling well, but I don't even count that Arc System even made it. But whatever. The point is, I don't check sales for this stuff, so I don't know how, you know, sales have handled with Cross Tag Battle. I don't know how many people enjoyed the game, like, all over the place. People who bought it. That's not something I want to talk about. But the point is, the launch of the game wasn't like so hot. You only had 20 characters. You already knew 20 DLC characters were going to come down the road, so you're kind of just stuck there. Of course, Blake and Yang, two Ruby characters who were supposed to be in the game, were DLC, and they were free DLC, but they shot themselves in the foot by announcing they were DLC in the first place. So that was another knock against the game, and then, you know, yada yada, we already know the whole ass story. There's no even point in going into that. The point is, bad lead up to launch, bad launch. So yeah, another knock against the game. Then you get the game, and there's no goddamn content. Now, the one thing BlazBlue games have been known for are their wealth of content. Every BlazBlue game, including Central Fiction, has a lot of content in it. that's one cool thing about BlazBlue that I really liked, is the fact that even though you get like games nowadays where you're releasing with like barely any content nowadays, BlazBlue has been the one that had your back with like, you know, RPG modes like Brim of Abyss and shit, big ass galleries, tons of story mode stuff, like Teach Me Miss Light, you know, just a bunch of other stuff, right? And then Cross-Tag Battle releases with just you get the episode mode, you know, you get your episode mode for Cross-Tag Battle. And then you get your tactics mode, you get your survival mode, and that's it. And honestly, this whole one survival mode thing honestly pisses me off. Like, fighting games need to stop just releasing with survival mode and acting like that's the single player content. Every damn fighting game nowadays does that shit. Street Fighter 5 did it. DNF Duel did it. Like, I'm so... Guilty Gear Strive did it. Yeah, it has an arcade mode, but it still has only... Outside that arcade mode, all it has is survival mode if you want to exclude the story. Like, I hate when fighting game companies do that. Like, survival mode, yeah, you can have that in the game, but like, other modes, please. Not just survival mode. It's not gonna tide anybody over. Like, holy shit. Especially when we get like stupid hard survival modes like Cross-Tag Battles. Like, But yeah, another knock against the game. There's like no content. Like there really isn't any content. There's content, but not a lot of it. There's like barely anything. You don't have an arcade. You don't have an arcade mode of sorts. You don't have like a score attack. You don't have a time attack. You don't have like any other RPG stuff that the original like other BlazBlue games had. Like that kind of shit. Like you don't even have like an RPG mode that like what Persona 4 Arena had, which I would have loved that. It would have worked so well with actually like making you play these characters and give you like scoreboards and the leaderboards and shit like that. I don't know, man, but yeah, no content. And I have to talk about this in particular, divisive gameplay. And even though I said that I love the I don't say I love it, but I really like the gameplay of Cross-Tag Battle, the game is not for everybody. Like it is not. Like this is a game that turned a lot of people away from the way it controls. A lot of people have ragged on this game for how it plays, and I get what people are saying, but honestly, I feel like a lot of it's overblown, really. Again, I'll play any fighting game. That's just personally me. I don't care what it plays like as long as I'm having fun with it. And I really think Cross-Tag Battle is a really fun fighting game. But a lot of people just like, oh, you look at one character and all you see is like standing A, right? Or like you look at someone like New, which I've seen a meme about New 13 going around a lot. When Cross-Tag Battle was getting announced, when you see her like her tactics mode shit, and you look at one of her moves, and it's literally just the B button and a bunch of downward motions. Which honestly, that move is actually pretty hard to pull off. I don't know what people are even talking about. That move is like that combo is hard as hell for me personally. But you know, I get what people are going for. They just see the game and then write it off like that. But I don't personally think that the game is as like I don't even know the word to use to describe it. Like people call it baby mode. I honestly don't get it. Like I just don't get it. Like it's just I don't get it. I get why people would not like the gameplay. I feel like maybe it will be too easy for them. Which the point of this game was to be like a good entry point for people playing fighting games, right? It wasn't like meant to be some super complicated fighting game like BlazBlue games usually are, right? I get why people would not like it, but like I feel like Cross-Tag Battle should be enjoyed as its own experience rather than just trying to be another BlazBlue. And then granted, it's called BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle, but I feel like, you know, the idea of it being a crossover tag game, I feel like people should at least give it some leeway on how it plays, because of course it's going to play differently. It was not going to play just like BlazBlue. I feel like Arceus did their best of trying to like combine like all these gameplay aspects together to create a new game out of it. If people don't like how these characters play for these games, I can totally understand, but you can always just play the games they're from. I feel like that's my personal opinion. You can still play Central Fiction. You can still play Under Night and Birth. You can still play like goddamn Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Like I feel like this game isn't the end all be all for something like that. You can still play like Akatsuki Blitzkampf if you really want to go that far. You can still play Arcana Heart if you really want to go that far. But that's just me. That's just me personally. And I think that's really all my complaints and stuff for this game. Outside of like, you know, cutting the music tracks, like the BlazBlue songs are just like a minute long and they've been like looped in a weird way. I mean, they're not looped weirdly, but like they're greatly inferior to the original versions. I really wish they just put the full track in, even though I know how long the matches really are. But yeah, I think that's like the biggest sticking points for Cross-Tag Battle for me personally, and also the character select menu. Character select menu is ugly. It's still ugly. It's still butt-ass ugly. I don't know how this game still looks like this in the year of our Lord 2024. But the point is, yeah, cross-type battle, incredibly flawed. An incredibly flawed fighting game. Is it still fun to me? Hell yeah. I will pick up this game anytime and still have fun with it because I can just get into it and play. I don't have to like rack my brain and go insane mode over trying to figure out a character. I can just pick this game up and play anytime I want and play with a healthy amount of characters. This game started with 20 and now it has 53 characters. I think there's a lot of characters that mix and match with your teams. I think that's pretty cool because you don't know, there's like a tons of combinations you can come up with. And I think that's pretty cool. You have characters from different kinds of series who all play differently. They don't all play the same. Even though they're like confined to like the gameplay of this game, they don't all play the same. They all have their little quirks and stuff like that, which good, you know? Every game should not have like this whole thing where all the fighting game characters play the same. That would like suck major ass. But yeah, cross-type battle, I'm glad I occasionally revisit this game because I really do like it. I'm glad that this game exists. I really do. You know, even though I hated this game in the beginning. Well, I guess hate's a strong word, but I really didn't like the game all too much in the beginning. I really believe that cross-type battle is a good fighting game now. A lot of people won't believe that. A lot of people just, you know, wouldn't accept that. I can understand, you know, cross-type battle is just not for everybody. It's this game that's just, it wasn't going to appeal to everybody. Even though Arxis' attempts of wanting this game to appeal to everyone, it wasn't going to do that. Their whole idea was to get this game to more Western audiences and people who haven't played fighting games before. And did it work? I don't know, actually. I've already was going to get this game anyway, even though I had issues with the game to begin with, and I had issues with the game whether like before it was, you know, it would launch. I was going to get this game anyway. I was going to buy it anyway. I was going to play it. And I did have some fun when it came out, but something just wasn't right. It just wasn't enough to it. And then as more characters came in, I think that's what made the game a lot better, at least gameplay wise. Yeah, it still has no content. Yeah, it still has a lot of weird issues. Yeah, it did add gameplay mechanics, but didn't change the stigma of the game of being this baby mode fighter that some people claim it is. But I like the game. I think it's pretty fun. And even though I can't change everyone's mind, I still like cross-type battle as it is now, and that's all that really matters to me.